Hi everyone, my name is Angie and this is me in my natural habitat. Today's project lasted 2 months. Not because I didn't spend every single waking hour working on this, but it just happened that it's one of those more time consuming ones. So instead of the usual doing the project itself while recording the video, I had to pre-record a majority of this, so all the time lapse that you're gonna see upcoming are all recorded beforehand. So I guess I'll just show you the time lapse first. So this is what it is. After drying, of course. So at the ending part of that video, you can see that I was dipping it in water. That's because all the guides that are on the fabric are actually printed with water soluble ink. So after dipping it in water and removing the dye, I'm left with the full piece, the final piece of this canvas. Do I call this a canvas? This piece of fabric. So this is actually the summer version for those of you who are slightly more familiar with Chinese characters. This is summer. I've done spring. I finished spring 4 years ago, and I've been procrastinating ever since. So this is summer. I will be doing autumn and winter soon, but I probably won't be doing into a video. So what happened was circuit breaker happened, which is why I've been posting a lot of similar but different content. So a lot less techie stuff, a lot more just handicrafts, or things that just do it yourself basically. So circuit breaker kind of made it a little bit difficult to get more things in for me to either modify or for me to fix, and things don't really break all the time. So I decided that okay, well, since this is a different period of time, why not I'll just do something that I enjoy and is actually part of my everyday life. So I decided I'll start on this in the middle of circuit breaker, which was the free period because everybody was work from home, and at a point of time all like media events were getting cancelled, so like we didn't really have a lot of things to do. But after I started on it and circuit breaker ended, not really ended lah. So for Singapore, we didn't end. Okay, circuit breaker, some people comprehend it as a lockdown or a semi-lockdown because essential workers are obviously still working, but majority of the country is operating on a work from home basis, so it's kind of like a lockdown but not really. So we have been easing out of this circuit breaker period in June, the start of June. So circuit breaker lasted a full 2 months. So at the start of June, we eased out of circuit breaker with the government did it in three, or rather plans to do it in 3 phases. So we're currently in phase 2. So phase 1 lasted 2 weeks, which is a reopening of certain slightly more essential services such as F&B or certain logistics chain, supply chain, the kind of companies, media production houses. So certain events, certain businesses are reopened in phase 1 of circuit breaker. But subsequently phase 2 came about, and then they reopened more. So we got a lot more busier in June than I expected. So I actually spent a lot of time on this back in May actually, but in June we are like swamped with all like the different projects that came in for work and everything. So like I actually didn't spend a lot of time on this, and we just ended like our hell month, which is why this video kind of come out a bit later than I expected. So we had like a 3 weeks of non-stop work, and at one point it was 7 different locations in one day, so it was a bit crazy. So for people who are slightly more familiar with this is a cross stitch. Because it's such a big piece, right? It's kind of like cheating because they give you the guide on like where you should sew and where you shouldn't sew, and they actually like mark it out in color over here previously to tell you that, you know, which color goes to what thread, and this is how it looks like when you purchase a kit. This is how the threads will come in. It will come out marked out in numbers, so you actually have the corresponding colors matched to the numbers, and you just basically fill out that square with that particular number, the particular color of thread. So it's kind of like a cheaty method, but it actually, I've only seen this in like bigger pieces of cross stitch because it's really going to be a headache to try and count every single square of how much you should be sewing. So I guess that helps. I've done a lot of those like smaller ones, keychains, bracelets, pouches. So those actually don't come with the printed squares for you to follow. So you actually have to manually count each and every square that you should sew. And if you happen to do it wrongly, you have to like pick the thread out and redo everything. So for bigger pieces, you kind of have that ability to cheat and do things the easier way. So if you're familiar with cross stitch, this is what it is. The reason why it's called cross stitch is you're sewing tiny little crosses. Can you see? You're sewing tiny little crosses onto the fabric itself, and the fabric is marked out with squares. So if I cover it this way, you can see that there's a lot of there's a lot of holes, and the fabric is made in a way whereby it forms little squares. Now the thing about cross stitch, right, is because everything in front is a cross, so behind are typically the straight lines. And if it happens, it's the same as embroidery, I would think. If it happens to need the change of color, there's always a very you need to find the balance. Basically, you have options of either a very messy back view or a very bumpy piece of fabric, because this is the back, this is the front, the back. So what I've done is, wherever possible, I will pull the thread over across the fabric like this. If it's not possible, I will terminate it into a knot. So cannot see. So there are times whereby certain areas of the fabric gets extra bumpy because there's a lot of knots. Like for example, this area, this whole area, because it's so small, I can't pull this anywhere else, so it's just knots. This is that corresponding area in the front. Yeah, so it doesn't go anywhere else. So I have to terminate all the threads there, and it's a balance to find when you're doing cross stitch, especially for big pieces like this. Especially because, okay, for example, this is just a decorative piece, right? You're gonna put it in a frame, hang it on the wall, that's fine. But if you're doing a pouch and you have lines running across your cloth, sometimes when you put things inside, it might get caught, and worst case scenario, your thread breaks and it might come loose in the front. But so what I always try to do is I will lay out the line, or rather I will finish the colors that require a lot of traveling first, and then cover it over with lines that is able to help keep it in place. For example, this one, if you can see. So if it travels across and I happen to go over that same area with a different color thread, I will try and tuck it in with the thread with the second color, so that I don't, if I run my finger or my fingernail down this piece of cloth, it won't get caught on any specific area whereby there is a thread running across the whole fabric. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a extremely simple one. Took me a lot of time, longest time ever taken me. Okay, I calculated how much time it actually took me to finish this. I was recording time lapse every 15 seconds. My time lapse records 30 frames per second. The whole entire footage that I have was, let me see, the entire footage I have was 12 minutes and 33 seconds, which means it was, I did a calculation, give me a minute. So I had 12 minutes and 33 seconds. 12 minutes, we convert seconds 720, plus the 33 seconds. In total, I have 753 seconds times 30 frames per second. That is this number. I'm not gonna read it out. But because I did it once every 15 seconds, right? So it took me this amount of seconds, which converts to minute and an hour. It took me 94 hours to finish this whole thing. I can't believe it took me this long. I couldn't really feel it because I did it in like a span of different days. But yeah, after I look at my timeline of all the time lapse, I'm like, this looked a lot longer than it seems. So almost 100 hours on this. This is definitely way longer than that butterfly, which is only less than 8 hours. But that was in one sitting. This is in like multiple sittings, every like basically about 2 hours per night. Sometimes a whole day, depends when I'm more free and when I'm less free. So 94 hours on this. Does it consider as an achievement unlocked yet? I hope you enjoyed this video. The world's still a crazy place. Slightly better now that things are more places are having things more under control as of this point. So please stay safe. I'll see you guys in the next video.